How did you get doing submarines?
Wanted to build something that was challenging. What did your neighbors think of the
Oh,
74-foot ship in your front yard?
you can pretty much do anything you like as long as you're not cooking meth.
Oh.
Everybody's going to be pretty good with you.
We have Doug here with SV Seeker from YouTube. Amazing guy. He's built two submarines, a sail ship that's 74 feet long. So we're going to answer some questions for everybody. How long have you been into DIY?
Oh gosh, childbirth. I don't know. Whenever I could start, we had a shop. We had a farm. We had tools. We had tractors. I had a dad that didn't mind, go out and do something, and then he'd start bringing home parts and giving it to you and say, "Put this on the truck." And it's like, look at it, don't even know what it is. Like, oh, it turns out it's an alternator, and so you figure things out. So that's kind of the way I started out, is just messing around in the shop.
So you started at a young age, like with me. One of the first things I built when I was young was a tree house. I was in seventh
Right.
grade.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I forgot the treehouse. Did you put an elevator in yours?
I did not, but I had a bridge connecting two parts of it. One side was going to be a kitchen, the
Yeah.
other side was a living room and a little bathroom. And I was young.
Cool.
So I just ran a piece of PVC pipe into the underground with a bunch of rocks. And that was my septic system when I was in
Hey,
seventh
that's
grade.
that's better than a lot I've seen.
So did you go into this for a career, like building things, or did you did you do something different and then find your way going towards bigger, crazier projects? Because you don't just start with with building a ship in your front yard.
Yeah, no, you don't. I started off, working with my hands, and then I fell in love and had to go to college, and had to work with my hands a lot to pay for that. And then, after college, it was all IT work. But then I just, I don't know what got me to. I decided to build this little ROV. There's a book out there. It's still out. It's called. I was working with schools. I probably saw it. I probably saw it there. It was like build your own ROV, and it was way before the technology that we have now today. So it was bilge pump thrusters and that sort of thing. And I had such a kick building that I thought I can build an ROV. Why not a submarine? And it took off from there. I just wanted to go bigger and better.
Doug built two submarines, and if I remember, you built the Seeker, and then the
1.5, because the first one I didn't finish.
the first one
So
you didn't finish.
the
Okay.
first one I did finish. I put it on the water. I ran it, and I came down to Florida looking for a place to live to finish it off, and I decided I did not want to live on land in Florida. I thought, if I just built a big boat, I could go to Florida and be wherever I am. It happens to be I'm in Florida right now, and this is Tampa back behind me, and St. Petersburg. I'm having a blast, and I'm not
That's
paying any
awesome.
real estate or taxes. But I don't
That's
have my
awesome.
submarine either, so.
Well, you got to start somewhere. I'm sure, like, because like with me, when it came to building the submarine, you learned so much
Oh
about
yeah,
metalworking, welding. I
yeah.
mean, there's
For
so
me,
much that you
about
learn from that.
exactly, and for me, the big lesson was don't make it too complicated. You can overcomplicate things so quickly,
Hmm.
and I have a knack for doing that. And so I try to keep in mind, what is reasonable for me to actually achieve. And that submarine, I mean, I think given another 5, 6 years, I could have had her diving, but it would have taken so much more effort.
Now, you did build a submarine that did dive.
Yeah, yeah,
A
yeah.
lot of
Well,
people do know,
we started off with somebody else's plans. That was Simon Lake's knockoff,
right?
um, the Argonaut Junior, and that was great. And that only took like 8 months to build. By
And
that time, CNC machine, and I had the lead that I needed, and so that was a blast. So, was this submarine you built
awesome.
your first?
Yes, it was.
All right. Well, you're
Yes.
also yeah, you did good because you finished it and you got her underwater, and that's a lot more than I got with my first submarine. But it wasn't a
There,
failure to me; it was a learning experience.
there was a lot of setbacks and a lot of discouragement.
Oh
Um,
yeah,
for you, 4 years of working on the project isn't a long time. I mean, you've spent over 7 or 8. How many years did you spend building SV Seeker? You spent like a decade
well,
building
I,
SV
I I
Seeker.
just got through doing some more work on her today, and I've got another couple of years to
So
go.
he's still working on it.
Yeah,
He's
well,
still,
it's a boat, so now it's a mixture of I'm on the water, so there's the maintenance things, and like I just did a couple of those this morning too, and then there's the try and get where you want to be with the build yet. So
Right.
It's a lot more fun for me, at least, doing it on the water than in my front yard. So
Right.
the answer to the question is be about 16 years now.
Wow.
Yeah, but
16
some of that,
years.
a lot of that I was working too, so I had another job.
What inspired you to build SV Seeker in the first place? I mean, know you
Well,
have a love for the water.
yeah, the love for the water. I like travel. The trip to Florida that told me that you are not going to be able to own land anywhere near the ocean,
Right.
in littoral water area. So here I am sitting in that littoral water, and I love it. So that was a big part of it. You know, I wanted to do something really big because um, I enjoy the process of building. I
Hmm.
enjoy stepping into new areas and doing things that I haven't seen done. I like taking people's ideas and exaggerating them maybe. And so that became SV Seeker. I also had a designer who gave me the basic plan for the boat. Just, here's the steel you need to cut to make the hull. Here's where the masts go, and here's where the bulkheads go. And Jack, and I started off talking with Jack. I said, draw me up an origami boat that's for 55 feet. And then I went back up there the next year and chatted with him some more, and it was 65 feet. And then I went up the last year, and it was 74 feet. And I said, Jack, we got to stop. Okay, the cranes are already in my front yard. Can't get any bigger.
I
So
know.
sometimes people help you along that way. So she is what she is, and I love it because I got a nice cargo hold down below with all my tools.
Well, that's awesome. Because now I have to ask you, what did your neighbors think of the
Oh,
74-foot ship in your front yard?
I've lived in a homeowners association, and so I know where that question comes
Oh.
from. Oh my God, you can't set a tire of your car onto the grass in the homeowner association till somebody will freak out. But if you go to the north side of Tulsa, where we had in one year, our zip code had 87 meth houses busted. You can pretty much do anything you like as long as you're not cooking meth.
Oh,
Everybody's going to be pretty good with you. And then I have a good philosophy about, my neighbors got to listen to a lot of noise, but they also get free welding lessons and fixed, and any tool that I have is open to my neighbors too. So it's kind of, you couldn't do that in a homeowner association. People just don't ask other people to get snakes out of their attic and do things like that. And so in my neighborhood, it was great. It was easy to help people out and become part of them.
when you built SV Seeker, you started with a scale model.
Yeah, I did. He built me a cardboard model. I mean, literally out of a signboard. I went up to Canada and brought it back. That was an interesting trip. And then I had one sheet of the plans for how she looked in profile, and then one sheet of how the steel is shaped. And then no, it's origami. So you got to know about origami. Origami, you take a big flat piece of steel, pardon all the caulking on my hands this morning,
Hmm.
and it's cut kind of like that with the bow and the stern. And you start welding and pulling these seams together. And as you do that, you get half of a boat. You do it twice, you stick the two together, you got a hull. So it's completely unusual design. So I had Jack Carson draw those designs up for me. He's just a he's just kind of like a boat lover and a hippie and an artist that lives way up in Canada. And so I found him, fortunately, and he gave me the design for it. Now, there's other people that have done a lot of these boats, but I haven't seen anything home done that's this size. Most of them are like 40 footers, and it's a great way to build a boat. You
That's
get the hull,
awesome.
and then you start putting the frames and everything else in.
Did you know how it was going to sit in the water when you picked it up with a crane and you put it in the water? Were you worried that it wasn't going to sit
Oh yeah,
level?
I was. Yeah, because we were delayed months putting it in, and we kept adding stuff to it, and I kept adding stuff into the engine room, thinking I'm probably going to have to move this because we're getting awful ass end heavy. And so when you set a boat in the water, it's right off the. I mean, you're one of a kind, so it's not like, well, what's going to be like theirs. It's like there is no theirs. It's
Right?
like this is the boat. But yeah, we could see that we were going to be heavy in the rear. We were heavy in the rear, and I'm still working on moving things around now to lighten up the back end of it. And we've done some good work on that. So I need to got about another 3 inches, and I'll be happy with it.
That's awesome. And what everybody knows you for is I would say SV Seeker. That really took your channel
Oh yeah, I didn't
up
have
to,
much of it. Yeah, I did a little bit on the submarine, but it was just kind of nothing. And I had some real horrible videos. Those old first ones. Oh, they're terrible. You
I
go
mean,
back and
everyone
look at it.
starts YouTube off with that, not the best videos.
Right.
I just hit 1,000 subscribers today.
Well, congratulations. It
Thank you.
took me 3 years, I think, to get that far.
Really?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you stuck through it.
Well, I had a goal of having 3,000 viewers or 3,000 views per video because I figured that's about the right
Right.
set for people that are actually thinking about building a metal boat or doing something like this. And I've always been a teacher. If you got more than 15 people in your class, a teacher's happy.
That's true.
Um, so I went from, and I've been a teacher a little bit. So, I went from having, 15 people in a class to 300. It's like, that's fantastic. We can have a little community out of this.
That's
And it just
true.
grew from there.
That's amazing. That leads me to the next question. The internet had such an impact on making SV Seeker come to life. What was it, in your view, that made SV Seeker an attraction to DIYers around the country or even the world?
Oh, I don't get asked that question a lot. I'm not sure I know the answer. They started, Roman, he's the first guy, said, I'm thinking about building a metal boat. Can I come work with you for a couple of weeks to see what it's like? And he did. We had a blast. And that went on to a video. So somebody else saw that. So they just
Right.
started asking to come. But why did they come? Roman's a smart guy. He went home and bought a boat.
There's certainly a spark that your videos
Yeah,
enlightening people when it comes to building something crazy
right. And,
because
and
you're
that's the direction I've tried to take the channel to now, is because I'm not an expert. If you want to see an expert on
right.
boat building, they're out there. Like Leo with Samson Boats, and hundreds of other guys have done it multiple times. They've been schooled in it. They know what they're doing. I think I'm the spokesperson for the people that want to do something but don't really know how.
Right.
And yeah, I just want to go out in their yard and try it in an experiential education type of approach.
So going back to the early days, the submarines,
Right.
and I could talk a lot about this stuff
Yes, let's
too.
talk submarines.
So, what are some of the unexpected discoveries during construction of the submarine?
It was fantastic to dive the Argonaut Junior to watch, to look through the portals with water outside of it,
Mm.
and to hear the sounds of the air cylinders, everything's new all of a sudden, and you're the only person in that submarine. So
Right,
what did it feel like to you
right.
to
Well, seeing
close
the
that
water,
hatch
yeah,
and
seeing, see,
see water come over the top of it?
and when it rocks a little bit.
Yeah,
So you're like, is this gonna roll over? Am I gonna kill myself? I mean,
right.
these are
I,
some of the things you're wondering when you're in your early trials, your surface trials, and even your
sure,
first dive.
sure.
You don't know what's gonna happen, which is why you take a lot of time stepping back, understanding the process, doing your unmanned dive first.
Oh, you
Um,
actually did an unmanned dive. Now I
yeah,
didn't. I was in
yes.
it the first time under, but I guess it's a level of faith,
Now, this is the Argonaut, right?
Yeah, the Argonaut. Yeah,
So, with that, that's an ambient submarine.
both of them were. Yeah,
Both of them were.
yeah.
That's right. It was wood. Uh, I guess that does make it a little bit safer in a
No,
sense.
not exactly. There's a there's a submarine out there, and it's on the P Subs group. I think its story is still there. In fact, the submarine's name is Seeker.
Oh,
Yeah, I know. And I think two guys died in that in like 6 feet of water,
oh, that's terrible.
um, because they had a temporary. I think it was. I'm probably getting the story terribly wrong, but in my mind, it sticks. They had a temporary viewport, a large dome in the front of the submarine, and it was just to me a temporary thing to test the shape and everything. But they figured it could do 30 feet, and they may have hit something, but something made that implode. And that much water coming in that fast put two of them unconscious.
There's such a large
Probably,
viewport.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So I had the same situation. You have to close the top hatch on the Argonaut, and then you can open the bottom diver's hatch. And when you
right.
do that, you've got this 2 by 2 foot square column of water that will just shoot in like a missile if that top hatch goes off.
You're
So
right. Right.
I put a lot of work in designing and securing that top hatch because I
That's
did
so
not
cool.
want that to happen. So, and diving the submarine unmanned is obviously the smarter thing to do. But it's a difficult thing to do when you want to test like that. When you have to actually move things inside the submarine, you can't
Right.
just ballast or heavy, put a couple lift bags on and send
Right.
it down. I didn't
Right.
have any, that wouldn't have shown me much. Is what I
Right.
really needed to see was that pressure on that top hatch.
Right. And
So
how
since
deep?
I didn't die, I started taking people with me.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And how deep did you go on your first dive?
Oh, I probably put the top hatch maybe a foot and a half under.
Okay.
Like we're talking about Vanamia submarine, it
Right.
doesn't matter.
Right.
The deepest we ever dove that thing was probably in 25 feet of water, putting her on the
Right.
bottom. And you can go deeper, but you can't spend the whole day down there like we were.
Yeah.
So,
You're gonna
then
have
you got
bottom time the deeper you go.
exactly.
Did you ever get discouraged while building, and what mentality did you need in order to overcome it?
We like to say no, I never did or anything like that, but that'd be so much bullshit. Everybody
Right.
gets discouraged.
Right.
Some of us hang on to it. Some of us try to push it off as fast as we can. Um, I can't say what discourages me. Um, it could be a lack of money, a lack of time,
S-
um,
So
family interference. I mean, anything. How do you push it off, though? It's like I don't know. Neither of us are psychologists, so
with with my submarine, there were two
yeah,
things that were most discouraging while building it. Um, Definitely part of it was money because the
right.
hatches on the top, there's two conning towers.
You had to remake a hatch, didn't you?
Yeah, well, I had to remake the rings that the O-ring on
Seat,
the hatch seats against. Yeah.
right?
And when I was welding those, the metal that I went with was too thin. I think I went with quarter-inch steel. And when welding that, it warped just enough where the O-ring wouldn't
Didn't
seal.
touch.
It had a
Yeah,
slight wave to it.
yeah,
So I had to get half-inch thick
right.
steel rings, plasma cut, put those on, weld those on, and I was able to do it. But that was a big setback because it
Yeah,
was like a over $1,000 mistake. The second most discouraging thing was right after our surface trials. It goes into winter storage. I forgot to blow water out of the main ballast line, which is a cast iron and steel pipe.
I saw that. Yeah,
Yeah, and it split, it cracked.
right,
Um, and the way I welded it into the hull, it wasn't really meant to be replaced.
right,
It was a one and done
right.
type thing, so I had to cut it out
Yeah,
inside the submarine. So I'm cutting in there with a grinder. I'm welding inside this tube, and
yeah. It's noisy, ain't it?
you got to put a fan on top, otherwise you're not going to breathe.
Oh, you didn't do the
Uh,
hold your breath thing. Come up through the hatch, take a big gulp, and go back down for a little while.
I would, but I would have been in there for so long doing it like
The
that.
fan's a good idea. You're bringing back memories of working inside of fuel tanks on this boat. So, wait, you asked the question, how do you get past it? And, I don't think I have an answer for that. I don't know. Call a friend and cry. That helps some, I guess. How do you do it?
Sometimes I just take a mental break and then I think about what it's going to look like when it's done. It's always about that envision to bring back that inspiration of
Yeah,
why you started in the first
yeah,
place.
and walking away from it for a while. Yeah, that mental break. Is that what you're doing? Is you're quitting and
Yeah,
walking off?
taking a mental break and reminding myself why I started.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, I do that too. I also had Bart around building the boat. That helped too. Bart's the guy that'll come up and he's one of those friends that'll come up and say, just relax, boss, relax.
So, what advice would you give to someone interested in taking on a huge DIY project?
Oh, that could be a long list. First off, you need a Bart. You need friends around you that I mean, not on the internet. That's nice, but you need people really that you can hang out with and
Right.
have lunch with that understand the project and are supportive about the project. Anybody that's not supportive, you need to clear them away from your presence as far as you can possibly get them. Don't start the project because you want to save money on something. Okay, you don't build
Uh,
you don't build a submarine because you want to save money on it. You can go out and buy a submarine.
True.
You don't build a boat because you want to save money on a boat. You'll never finish it. I mean, you'll start this thing and it's like it's not your love. But you and I apparently have this twist in our head that says we like building this stuff.
Right.
So, but we get to do things that other people haven't done.
Right.
You have to try. It's like, well, they haven't done that. Why not? It may not work, but let's give it a shot.
Right.
I mean, you built out of a propane tank. You know how many people I know would tell you you're insane for building out of a propane tank?
A lot of people.
You've heard from them. I don't have to tell you. I know you've heard from them. They're very willing to tell you you're doing it all wrong.
Right.
But yet, your submarine, and I can think of another half dozen out there, propane tanks all worked.
Yes.
Nobody died.
It's the same steel. The only difference is if you roll it and weld some end caps on it, it's going to be the same thing.
Can you imagine the cost of having a half-inch of steel rolled into a cylinder? And So, I mean, and so then it becomes and this is good to answer the question too. It becomes a thing of, well, I don't have the money. And to my answer to that is bullshit. Scale back your project, man, but do it. And once you get this done at a lower level that you don't like, and it doesn't have enough money in it that you want it to, you're going to be further through life. You'll have more skills, certainly. Maybe you can make more money and do it again next time.
That brings me to a really good question that I just thought of. If it wasn't for the internet, if it wasn't for YouTube and all of the people that helped you as a result of finding you on YouTube, would you have been able to do as much as you did to Seeker?
No.
Or would you have taken a much more basic, bare bones design approach to it to make it more manageable with a smaller crew?
Absolutely. There is no doubt about that. I'm sitting on a boat that is so much better than what I had envisioned to build. I mean, I had looked at boats that had been built by one person. And we're talking about, a steel hull, no insulation inside, plywood floors, plywood countertops, a Coleman cook stove, and they're having a great time in life. So there's nothing wrong with that approach. It comes back to money and skills and time. But Seeker, having had 400 plus people come and work on her.
That's amazing.
I mean, not all of them are skilled at a lot of different things, but everybody can put in something. Some of them are just fantastic. They're aces. They know exactly how to do something, and you can learn from them. And they add this piece to the boat that makes the boat so much better. I wish we could all build stuff like that. I mean, it takes a little bit of letting go of, this doesn't have to be all mine. It could be other people's as well.
Right.
But man, the end result is fantastic. I like working with a team.
And so do you have any other future plans for other projects, or is it going to continue to be Seeker?
Well, no, Seeker was designed as a lifetime project. I got 22 feet of cargo hold down below. And I got a mill, a lathe. I got my welders all up on a shelf now. Thank God they're not just scattered over here. It's like, where's my stick welder? It's coming along. It's going the direction I want it to go, and it'll be the rest of my life before I get everything done that I want done on Seeker. I got an ROV that needs some software written for it, so we can start diving that. I need to get out on the ocean and sail a lot more, so I'm competent at sailing her. We leave in January, and all these things are a beautiful thing about a boat. All these things, they just keep building on each other. You get better, you learn new things, you get more competent at it, more skills come along. I'll take researchers on, bring them out on the boat so they can, look at jellyfish or plastics or birds or whatever they want to do. I don't care. But, that gives me the ability to kind of be the redneck Jacques Rousseau. That's what I started off wanting to do. And if I don't die before I get there, that's what we're going to be doing.
That's awesome.
How did you get doing submarines? I mean, what led you into that?
Well, I mean, I've always wanted to build something that was challenging, that people would find to be very difficult. Not a lot of people do it. And then I was on YouTube. I came across some of your videos back in the day of you with your submarine. That drew some inspiration. Have you heard of the Andy Seymour story with their propane tank submarine?
Yeah, I do.
So that was a big inspiration, and I ended up becoming friends with him on Facebook. And
that connection that you made.
Yes. Yeah. And that is one of the big drivers into why I decided to build a submarine. Since then, I've gotten familiar with the groups and P subs, psubs.org, and met a lot of guys through there that helped me with the design elements of the submarine. But I wanted to do something completely on my own. So I started with a scale model of what would be very similar proportions to the full size sub, so I could test it and see how practical it would be and how stable it would be on the surface and underwater.
I saw that. We did the same thing with Argonaut. We started off with a scale model.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
it builds confidence, doesn't it?
oh my God, yes. So that was so exciting. That's why I took on that project. I've always loved building things. And like you with SV Seeker, I'm probably not going to stop with my submarine. The one thing that I regret not doing is filming all of the building process and doing YouTube earlier.
Yeah, but it takes a lot of time out.
It does. It does. It doubles the time it takes to build something.
So what's your plans with the sub then?
So with the sub, I want to do some fun things with it for YouTube. I want to put a periscope on it.
Oh yeah.
I want to bring that childhood dream alive.
A real periscope with the mirrors?
I might try doing that, or I might do digital and put a camera on it with a screen, but just give it that, I don't know, maybe something with the handlebars where I could do this just to give it that.
Yeah.
That's like a childhood dream. And
you have dive planes on yours.
I do. Yes.
Have you? I haven't not there yet, but have you tried stabilizing it at a like just below the surface?
I was just gonna say that. I don't have variable ballast tanks on it, so I'm going to predict that it's gonna be hard to do. The main tanks are soft, and the 4.5 tanks are hard tanks. So I try to trim out with that. That way, as you go deeper, the air volume can't compress in those tanks. So I should be able to get close. But I think
if you stick with it, it's like anything. We built it, we can change it.
So
with modifications, I can see that you can make that submarine do that.
Yeah, and that is maybe something that I'll do in the future. I'm going to do some videos this summer diving with it, using the dive planes, underwater flying.
I tried stabilizing Argonaut Jr. in a hover. Yeah, complete waste of time.
Hard.
Simon Lake didn't design it for that though, so
no. Because you drop the 2 anchors and then you'd pull it down with the anchors.
Drop the anchors, blow the ballast tanks, just barely positive buoyant, and then try to raise the anchor, which actually lowers the sub. Yeah. But I actually tried hovering. And it was like, no. It didn't even get close. So
no. But it's cool. It's a really cool. I mean, you go back that far. The idea of taking 2 anchors and using that to pull you down was kind of genius because you have a nice stable descent.
I think so too. And so I credit Simon Lake for that because I think that's how he dove his submarine. That's certainly how he had ability to do that same way. I think that's what he did.
Yeah.
So
this is Doug with SV Seeker, an amazing channel, almost 250,000 subscribers. Guy's content is amazing, so I recommend you check him out.
Steve, I appreciate it very much, and I'd like to say that if it weren't for people like you starting out, I don't think I'd watch YouTube at all. Thank you for being in the ditches and starting off, and I encourage other people to do the same.
Thank you so much.
Check out how I built the submarine with the scale model in the video below. We'll see you there.